Good morning, everybody. I'm told we're going to get started. All right, we are going to get started with our next session, which is exploration and investment presentation, exploring for critical minerals. And I'm going to ask you folks to take your seats. Or not. You can stand in the back. That's cool, too. But I'm going to carry on, just like I was a teacher in high school or something. So my name is Ruth Trask. I'm knocking things off the podium. It's a good start to the morning. I'm a partner at Stewart McKelvey, and I practice in labor and employment because all of your workforces need people to do things. There's not much activity happening at a mine site without somebody to drive the equipment and think about the strategy and do the things. So Stewart McKelvey is a sponsor here at the conference. And why? Why would we do that? Why are we here? So I heard Seamus speaking this morning, and he spoke about how proximity matters. And I couldn't agree more. So that's why me, Townie, drove all the way out here to Gander. Not very far, I know. Don't hold it against me, okay? I'm a Townie. I'll just say it out loud. Things we know but don't want to admit. I'm a Townie, that's it. But we came to Gander because there's no substitute for being in the room and talking to the people who are here. And that's why people came from across Canada to make sure that they're in the room too, with you folks. So when we think about being local, Stewart McKelvey is here, we're in St. John's, but we're also working with a lot of the municipalities that we were speaking about here earlier. We know those folks. We have strong relationships with tons of municipalities. Actually, it's a big area of practice for our office. Come from a ways are welcome to do business here. We roll red carpet for you, but we are already here. We have those relationships and we want to leverage them on your behalf. So with that, I am going to step aside and say, by the way, we're sponsoring your lunch because we know where our bread is buttered, right? So that's happening afterwards in the cafeteria at the other building upstairs. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce Stephen Stayers, the CEO and Director of Benton Resources, who's going to speak first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the MinEx for the invite to speak. My name is Stephen Stayers, as I mentioned, born and raised in Benton, Newfoundland, 15-20 kilometers from here. And Benton Resources is the first company out of our family that listed on the TSX Venture Exchange. Since that time in 2005, we've listed multiple companies through the family, and happy that we're back in Newfoundland. I reside now in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and spend half my time back on the island, advancing this fabulous copper deposit down in south central Newfoundland, just north of St. Albans. Again, forward-looking statements that I'll be and this is not investment advice, but this company is certainly worth looking at, especially the scope of this project. I think it's probably the best project that's ever been in Benton since inception in 2005, and we've had many good successes. Location of the project is in south central Newfoundland. It's about 68 kilometers north of the town of St. Albans. Fantastic infrastructure. I should point out that Newfoundland is no stranger to big VMS deposits. The Buckins deposit probably being the biggest and highest grade at the time. Of course, the Duck Pond deposit in the Tulks Valley belt. Ming Mine, Rambler Metals, of course now Firefly Minerals. That thing is looking like a world-class asset. One of the things I should point out is the Ming Mine, of course, started in the 70s at around 2.1 million tons of high-grade copper gold ore near surface. It had off and on mine lives right up and even to the Rambler Metals. Rambler went in production in the early 2000s. Again, struggled along with two more million tons that they had found. So exploration takes a long time. It takes a lot of companies, as people mentioned, and it takes a lot of money and a lot of investment. And it's hard to raise money right now with the current turmoil, the U.S. rhetoric, et cetera, et cetera. But we are managing to raise money, bring it back to Newfoundland, and put it in the ground. And we are having great success. And I think this project is about to be unlocked as we move forward. We also have a tremendous gold discovery. Historically, it was found by Noranda, and we've expanded it to about 2.7 kilometers on the same project with significant copper in it as well. So it's a 70-30 joint venture. So we're spending 70% of the money, 30% with our partner Homeland Ventures, who owns 30%, and that's who we option the project from. We've earned our initial 70% by spending $2.5 million. And currently, we've spent about $3.5 million, and Homeland is participating. We got high-grade copper zones and gold zones over 15 kilometers, and we got 25 kilometers of strike length. So there's about another 10 kilometers. There's very little exploration completed, not even an airborne flown on it. So we need to get that done because the rocks are right to find more discoveries. Excellent infrastructure. That's key to a project. I mean, we're only 2.5 kilometers from the Great Burnt Power Hydro Dam. So we got green energy power. And we've had aggressive exploration since we picked this project up in 2023. So we've drilled over 20,000 meters of drilling, and we are currently drilling as we speak. I'd like to thank Bennett Dion here in the audience, Eastern Geophysics. They've been doing all of our geophysics for us. Majors Drilling, doing all of our drilling for us. We're spending all of our money locally. Eastern Analytical does all of our assaying. So we love being back on the island and everybody participating in this awesome project. We've taken the Great Burnt deposit from 650 meters strike length, or just under 650 meters, right now down to 950 meters, with the help of Bennett Dion's crew finding the conductors, because we're drilling fairly deep now. These holes are 500, 600, 700 meters deep. He finds the conductors for us, and then we drill them, and we've been hitting. So right now we're down to 950 meters strike length, and planning on to go over 1,000 meter strike length with this next drill hole that's going to start tomorrow or the next day when we finish the current hole that we're on. We also got many wide intercepts of greater than 1 gram gold. I mean, this is very similar to the grade that you see Caliper Mining putting in production down at the Valentine Lake deposit. So there is true potential here for a good gold resource. Simple geology, it's a Beshi-type deposit, VMS, mafic volcanics with sedimentary hanging wall. As I mentioned, six zones over 15 kilometers, 2 resources, one at the Great Burnt Copper deposit and one at the South Pond deposit. The South Pond's an historical resource, but the Great Burnt deposit was brought to 43-101 compliant in 2021 by Spruce Ridge Resources, which is now Homeland Nickel. We currently got about 1.2 million tons at 2.5 grade, around 2.5 to 3% copper. But since we've picked it up and the 20,000 meters we've drilled, we've substantially increased the grade with our drilling, and we've substantially increased the size. So we'll probably put a new resource estimate out in probably 12 or 18 months once we complete more drilling. As I mentioned, it's a Beshi-type VMS deposit. You can see on the right, it's the beautiful chalcopyrite massive sulfides that give us these incredible grades. Just a geology map. Again, 20,000 meters of drilling over the last 18 months. Tons of targets to test. We've identified a footwall zone, which originally was thought to be the extension of the deposit that flattened, but we believe now it's a parallel zone. We're currently drilling those targets right now. If in fact we hit this with a few more holes, this could be a substantial new deposit that we have to drill off. And that sits about 150 meters to the east of the main Great Burnt deposit. We're currently drilling that hole right now. Some of the intercepts that we had, 13 meters of 8 copper, 26 meters of 7, 12 meters of 7. These are world-class intercepts. Any geologists who look at these grades knows that these are rare. Rambler Metals have put out similar numbers, and again, I can't reiterate enough that the potential to be another Rambler is sitting in this project. It just needs the money spent in the ground and a lot of drilling. The blue is the historical resource based on the squares and the little circles that you see. That's a lot of a circle drilling from like the 1960s, 1970s. That was AQEX. We've re-drilled areas of where a circle had stuff like 8 meters of just over 1% copper, and we've had 10 to 15 meters of 15 or 5 to 10% copper. So we believe a lot of their holes are underestimated. That's why we've re-drilled quite a few of them now. And all the stars is the holes that Benton has drilled. And down in the white area, you can see our last drill hole, which was GB 2553. That's 950 meters down plunge. That had a 37-meter intercept of almost 1% copper. But some higher grades over 8 meters, like 2% or 1.83% over 8 meters or 8.6 meters. So the zone is still going. Our DPM survey that we completed on that drill hole indicates that there's a 10,000 Seaman anomaly below that hole, and also hole number 48, which we drilled above the deposit on, or the projected horizon, in an aggressive step-out last drill campaign. That hole also has a deep EM anomaly telling us that it's below that drill hole. So that is the next hole. So that will start in about 2 days. You can see on the surface up at the South Pond. So this is located approximately 8 kilometers north of the Great Burnt Main deposit. This is our copper gold zone. This is where there is a small resource at South Pond. We're at the very north end of the project. What you see here is a magnetic map with airborne conductive zones on surface. We've now completed over 5 kilometers of surface pulse EM, again by Bennett Dion's crew, with great results showing the conductive zone going down at least 600 meters at depth, and also identifying parallel zones that are untested with drilling. So we got a lot of work to do up there. There is a lot of soil anomalies that we're going to compile with that new data, and obviously get the drills back up there. Here's some of the drill intercepts that we've hit over the 2.7 kilometers strike length. I mean, 18 meters of 1.13 grams, 43 meters of 1.62 grams. These are very comparable to what's going in production about 60 or 70 kilometers to the northwest of us at the Valentine Lake. So this does have, it's all shallow drilling, and it does have potential for open pit mining. This is our surface pulse EM over the last 5 kilometers. We've actually now extended that another kilometer to the north to our boundary, which is currently underway. And all the drill holes you see, that's very shallow copper in the gold zones that were drilled either by a circle. Interestingly enough, a circle didn't assay for gold. Noranda went in and resplit some of their AQEX core to identify the gold zones that are in the area. So this drilling is a little bit deceiving in fact that there's no gold assaying done on most of the core, just re-assaying from some of the holes by Noranda, and then Celtic Minerals in the 90s and early 2000s, and then ourselves. Just some sections of how the zone looks. It's massive to semi-massive pyrrhotite, so very similar to stuff that you'd maybe see in the Musselwhite Belt in like Ontario. It is looks like a part of the VMS system. It do have considerable amount of copper throughout it, and in the northern parts, it's actually got a copper resource with it of about 1.2%. So we are looking for the copper-rich portions. It may be in the parallel conductors that we're identifying, but we're excited to get back drilling here, with more investment raising. Outside of that, we have huge nickel soil anomalies identified. That's just to the west of our main copper gold horizon at the north. It's associated with an ultramafic complex. It's got to be, it looks very similar to the Pipestone complex, which is just to the east of us that First Atlantic Nickel is working. And they are identifying a large nickel content in a mineral called a warite. It's a natural stainless steel that you don't need smelting for. It's not a proven technology to mine that yet, but it's probably coming. It's low-grade copper in the 0.2 to 0.3% range. And we haven't done any drilling in this, but interestingly enough, we have extended some of our geophysical lines recently over into this area, and we do have some conductors on the contact of this ultramafic unit that we're going to actually test a couple holes into for also massive sulfide type, Voisey Bay type nickel sulfide, so magmatic. So that's another target for another day, but again, I can't reiterate how great this project is. So in short, we're doing lots of geophysics, we're drilling. The company's well financed right now at about $3.6 million in the bank. We just recently spun out a lithium discovery, which I'm going to be talking about in about half an hour, down on the south coast. It was discovered by Benton and Sokoman. We brought in a partner called Piedmont Lithium, which is one of the bigger U.S. lithium companies. And that company should start trading by the end of the week or mid next week at the latest. So that's going to be under the symbol VIN on the TSX Venture as well. So it's our newest listed company. And that's a pretty exciting lithium discovery and the only lithium and cesium discovery in Newfoundland. We also own a position in a company called Clean Air Metals in Ontario. We're hoping that equity position will turn into something very profitable for us in the future. And we have a great project that we're working on in the Buckins Belt, and hoping that next year we'll be presenting that as a significant new discovery north of Calibre Mining. So lots of news to come for Benton, and exciting times ahead. 205 million shares outstanding. As I mentioned, we got about 2.5 million in the bank, and about 1.64 in equities that we can liquidate to cash up as well. So, and of course, the beautiful picture of the massive copper just to the right of our last slide. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Next, I'm going to introduce Konrad Shapstowski from Cantera Resources.
Hi, I'm Konrad Shapstowski with Cantera Minerals. So I'm from Vancouver, so I just flew in last night, so I might be a little loopy, but I'm excited to share with you our flagship Buckins project with you all today. This is located in central Newfoundland as an image of the historic mine there. We're a district-scale critical minerals company. We have the second largest resource base for critical minerals in Newfoundland after Firefly Metals, and we're building a substantial foundation with significant upside that we hope to advance on. I might make some forward-looking statements. So just to give you a little highlight overview of what Cantera is. As I mentioned before, we're the second largest critical minerals resource in Newfoundland. We have 26 million tons of resources globally across 7 deposits at a 2% copper equivalent. The flagship is Buckins in the north. We have major shareholder support from Sprott, Gentili, and Altius Minerals. And on the gold side, we also control the next 60 kilometers of the Valentine Lake Shear Zone to the northeast. That's how we started in Newfoundland, and we've since acquired these 7 VMS deposits that are our focus now. And the goal is pretty simple for us. we're trying to grow the 26 million tons to 40 million and to become the next Foran Mining, which is an exploration company out of Saskatchewan that started where we are basically a few years ago and grew to a $1.5 billion market cap as of now. Buckins is located in the Appalachian origin. It's in one of the major mining camps of the world, really. A true tier one mine, along with the Brunswick mine. But what made Buckins special was the truly high grade, which we'll show you here. So why Buckins? We're in Buckins certainly not because of the restaurant and entertainment options in town, but the high grade, 23% combined base metals, over a gram gold, and over 126 grams per ton silver. It's one of the select few top high-grade deposits ever, up there with Boliden Sweden mine and the Boliden mine in Sweden and Hellier Roseberry in Tasmania. And we obviously think there's more to be found in the area with modern exploration techniques. We're looking at a plan view now of the Buckins project. We control everything except for the middle block there, which is owned by Canstar Resources, our neighbor. The red shapes are mined ore bodies. The yellow circles are prospects that we'll be exploring in the future, and the yellow shape is the footwall alteration zone, of which the Lundberg resource, which is our flagship, is a part of. It runs about 16.8 million tons at a 4% zinc equivalent. This is the geological model at Buckins. Lundberg is the green stockwork zone. It occurs in sulfide-rich vein networks. Relatively low grade. It was not mined at the time by Sarco due to the low grade at the time. Sitting right above the stockwork zones are in situ massive sulfide deposits, such as Lucky Strike. This was a high-grade, 25% combined base metal. Nearly half the ore mined was of that caliber. And what's unique about Buckins is the transported ore component. Over half of the ore that was mined is transported debris flows that have slumped down the channel. And these are harder to find, but they still grade very high and are a significant component of the mining. And one thing to note here is the alteration zones are a great vector towards in situ mineralization. And this is something that previous operators didn't really focus on. They were more focused on high grade only. And we think this is a big exploration upside for us to focus on the alteration zones. This is what core looks like. It's very sulfide rich, barite rich, transported ore, occurs in these debris flows. And you get these high grade ore clasts inside these transported zones with really high grade that carry it. So to note, compared to Benton, we don't get a lot of this shiny yellow ore. It's mostly blue-gray. It's very pyrite poor, which is good and bad. It means that traditional geophysical methods like EM, which are designed to detect conductive pyritic ore bodies, don't work here very well. Previous companies have come in, flown EM surveys, not hit any amazing anomalies, and kind of walked away from the project, which we think is the wrong approach. There we go. And then the conductivity is inhibited in transported breccia ores as well. However, these sulfides are chargeable, and the camp is essentially devoid of graphite, which reduces our false positives. This is what Lundberg looks like currently. You can see the head frame from the Lucky Strike mine and some of the mine infrastructure. So in terms of infrastructure, Lundberg and Buckins, you don't get much better. It's right on the highway. You have people in town, water, everything you need. You don't need a camp. There's housing available. So it's set up perfectly for a future mining project. You can see some of the Lundberg mineralization poking out there, and we'll take a closer look. This is what the core looks like at Lundberg. It's the stockwork veining with quartz carbonate, chalcopyrite, and base metals. There's locally copper-rich sections throughout. This is our 2019 mineral resource of the Lundberg. It's 16.8 million tons at 4% zinc equivalent, containing over 1.3 billion pounds of zinc equivalent metal, which is a substantial starting point for us. And we think that if we can just find a little bit more of the high-grade material, it would significantly change the economics of this whole project. And of note is the scale. This is a big target. It doesn't show up in the EM, as we mentioned, but we think that the IP response is the way to go forward. This is a comparable VMS Explorer slide. We think we're undervalued. And if we just manage to grow our tonnage, we're hoping to get more into the Firefly forend mining. A significant upside, I think. Forend mining is a $1.5 billion market cap, and that's our goal. This slide's a bit technical, but this is kind of our scientific method. The black lines are the magnetic readings. And essentially, what you see is that the black line drops to 0 as soon as there's mineralization. Mineralization alters out the magnetite, and where you get mineralization, magnetic response drops. This happens in all of these holes. One thing we added in 2024 on the right two downhole sections are chargeability readings. So we got an IP meter, and we started to test the IP, and we found that, as we expected, chargeability goes up with mineralization. This gives us a fairly simple formula for exploration at Buckens. A low magnetic response with a high chargeability is a potential sulfide mineralization target. And this has been working for us, and we really plan to implement this in the next year going forward. So what we came up with are 3 target areas. The Sandfill, the Clementine, and the new target. We were going to supplement this with a magnetic inversion to get the mag data. We're doing 10,000 meters of drilling. We did a $4.6 million raise in December to fund us for the rest of the year. We're doing geochemical sampling from the Buckens core library, which hosts all of the core, the historic core. And now we're doing this IP survey. But we thought that's not big enough, so we decided to blow it up and just do the entire property. So we're covering the entire property with 3D IP. We're going to be working with CanStar to cover their section as well. This will give us continuous coverage throughout all of Buckens. It's going to give us better depth, and we'll get the full package. And this is really going to drive our targeting and exploration going forward. It's a transformational IP survey for us, and it's really important, we think. Going forward, we started the IP last quarter. We're ongoing still. It's a big project, so we should be wrapping up in the next month, hopefully. Our first phase drilling finished, and we'll get results out soon. And we're hoping to follow up throughout the year with about 10,000 more meters with news to follow. So just to summarize, we're in the best area, we think, in the world. This is excellent infrastructure, brownfield site, high-grade mining. We have a large project. We think we figured out the geology and the geophysics. We're financed $4.6 million, and we're embarking on this new state-of-the-art IP survey that's going to drive targeting and exploration. And the best place to look for a mine is in the shadow of a headframe, and that's what you see in Buckens. So, thank you.
Thank you to Conrad, and I'll correct myself, Cantera Minerals. I don't know why I said Cantera Resources earlier. I'm going to welcome Stephen back to the stage on behalf of Vinland Lithium in your other capacity. So come on up.
Thanks again, everybody. Introducing Vinland Lithium. This is a new lithium company that should be trading in the next 10 days or so. And it's the first lithium discovery ever made on the island. Outside of that, we actually have a very high-grade cesium discovery, which is an extremely rare metal. And we've advanced that slightly with just a few drill holes. But since discovery in 2021 with our partner Sokeman Minerals, we managed to have a discovery, drill some holes, bring in a partner, which is one of America's larger lithium companies. They're actually only lithium spodumene producer in the U.S. They're actually producing in Quebec, but their company is based out of Carolina, where they have one of their bigger projects. Again, forward-looking statements. So in 2023, we formed an alliance with Sokeman Minerals after discovery. 2021, we formed an alliance with Sokeman Minerals, and in 2023, after a couple years of exploration, we brought in Piedmont Lithium as a partner. We spun this project out into a company called Killick Lithium, and then Killick Lithium done a deal with Piedmont. The company is very tightly held with only 10 million shares issued and 4 million shares, 2 million shares each dividend to our shareholders, and 2 million held by Sokeman and Benton, and then 2 million shares held by Piedmont Lithium. It's a little bit of a complex deal, but ultimately there's only 4 million shares tradable on the exchange when it starts trading next week. And Piedmont put $2 million into the treasury at $1 a share. So it's a tidy little company that's built for growth. And Piedmont, to earn 62% of the project, has to spend $12 million and also make payments of $10 million to Benton and Sokeman. So it's a good little deal for us. The reason why Piedmont picked this project, its location. We're only 20 kilometers from the south coast of Newfoundland, quick little boat ride across to the Carolinas, and that's where Piedmont is planning on building a processing plant for lithium spodumene. There are currently no processing plants for lithium spodumene in North America. All of it goes to China. So spodumene can only be concentrated to a maximum of 7% lithium, so it's not a very valuable commodity once you even concentrate it, not like copper or base metal ores. So infrastructure is very, very key. And I should point out that on the south coast right now, there is a large park being proposed that essentially sterilizes the south coast for coastal transportation. It's a part of a federal park, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will lobby against it. I mean, I'm not obviously against parks, but it certainly sterilizes any economic development of this type for future, for mining. It's kind of been, we were kind of only notified about this probably 3 or 4 months ago. So we've been scrambling with Mines Energy Branch, everybody involved, Prospectors Association, Norm Mercer and those guys, to at least get some idea of what this all entails and how it impacts us all. So I just wanted to bring that up because this is the reason why Piedmont is there is because of the location and being able to move that ore if we find enough of it. On a regional scale, this is a part of the Appalachians. This cuts through Nova Scotia all the way over into Ireland, to the Leinster lithium belt, and in through the Carolinas. Up until 2021, there was no lithium occurrences on the island. We made the first one while looking for gold, oddly enough. So we made that discovery. Since that time, we've made a dozen more. We drilled 61 drill holes. It's located on the Bay Des Fault, which is the same fault that hosts the Hope Brook Gold Mine, just 20 kilometers to the west of us. And like I say, we've done a massive amount of soil sampling. These are the right rocks. We have also uranium occurrences along this same trend, also favorable for for discoveries. We have a large land package, over 60 kilometers of strike length. We've completed about 25 kilometers or so of soil sampling along that trend and prospecting. A lot of it virtually unexplored yet, just because we didn't have time and money to do it all. I should point out that we are collaborating with research initiatives from various government agencies and Munn University. Currently, there's over 20 geoscientists working on this lithium discovery and its importance to Newfoundland and understanding why it's there and how do we find more. I should point out also that with lithium, there is sister minerals that are very important on the critical minerals list, tantalum, rubidium, and cesium. So to date, we have discovered tantalum, cesium, and rubidium, and we are finding a tremendous amount of gallium in our system. We haven't released any numbers on it yet, but we are evaluating the potential, and gallium is also a very rare mineral that Elon Musk is particularly interested in for space travel, etc. So Newfoundland has a lot of wealth to be unlocked yet. Since 2021, we've initiated the discovery, phase 1 drilling in 2022, more dikes discovered in late 2022, phase 2 and 3 in 2022, late 2022, and then phase 4 and the hydro drilling in late 2023 as well. Here's just some pictures of the dikes. You can see they're generally 1, 2, 3 meters wide. In drilling, we have them up to 26 meters, I think, in thickness. So nice wide zones. Generally grading between 0.5% and up to 2% lithium. We've done a tremendous amount of till sampling, which also shows spodumene and till over around 20 kilometer strike length so far. So we know that there's more discoveries to be made. And we've done a massive VLF EM survey over the project in conjunction with Piedmont. And we have some proprietary work that we're completing on that airborne survey that is helping us find more of these dikes. This is the main Kraken-Killick area. As all the white lines you see are all the dikes that we've identified. We haven't drilled all these yet. But we've drilled mainly the Killick East Dike, that's most of the drilling, and the main Killick Kraken Dike on the west side of the creek there. You can see some of the drill intercepts, 20 meters at 0.6, 1.1% over 8 meters, etc. These are very comparable to some of the mines and deposits that they're finding in Quebec and Ontario. Here's where we completed most of our drilling. This is the East Dike, and we've identified about 300 meter strike length on it with 30 drill holes, and it's open at depth and also along strike. It's highly folded, refolded on itself in several places, so that's where we get the thickening of the zones as well. There's some sections where we believe it's kind of folded back on itself. It's still open at depth, so we don't know how far the folds go, but it requires a lot more drilling. This is some of our soil geochem surveys right at the Kraken-Killick area. As you can see, the purples are really high lithium and tantalum in the soils. So these are really closely associated with the zones that we know. And some of the areas where we have anomalies, we haven't identified dikes in these particular areas yet. So we took a regional approach out to the east and west. This is out by what we call Triangle Pond and Grandy's West and Top Pond Brook. And you can see these huge, huge soil anomalies that go for kilometers. We have rock samples from our last fall's work of highly anomalous lithium and tantalum in these areas, especially in the Top Pond Brook area. And also south now of the main Kraken dikes, we have new boulders and a new trend found down there. This is the cesium discovery. This is the outcrop that we stripped off by hand. Very high grade cesium. We have grab samples up to 14%, but channel samples, of 1.5% cesium, which is pretty remarkable. This, as I mentioned, is a very, very rare mineral. There's only, I think, 2 deposits in Canada right now, maybe 3. One of them is mined out at the Tanko mine in Manitoba. The value of this ore is so high that there's a deposit in Australia that ran 4% cesium that they actually blasted out and sent it to Manitoba for processing. That's how rare this metal is, and they still made money from it. It's owned by the Chinese now. It's called the St. Clair mine in Australia. It's only 400,000 tons. So this is our latest discovery. It's actually south of the Kraken dikes. We have multiple angular big blocks of spodumene-bearing floats. We haven't done any work on this yet other than prospecting late last fall. And moving forward, company will be listed, as I mentioned, in the next, say, 2 weeks. 2025 program planned. Piedmont is the financier on the project, so we don't have to contribute any money. We got about, after our listing, about 1.6 million in cash, and we're looking for other opportunities for Vinland as we move forward. Just some acknowledgement of all the people and communities that we've been working with that helped us advance the project. We took Andrew Parsons in on the project last summer. He had a great time. He was pretty excited about it. This was his district at the time. So, we look forward to working with the Newfoundland government bringing this forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So last but certainly not least, I'm going to welcome to the stage Mike Pillar, the project manager at First Atlantic Corp., to speak about the Atlantic Nickel property.
Thank you for having me. We're going to talk a little bit about our Awarite project in central Newfoundland. Let's see now. How do I use this? Oh, there we go. So nickel is essential to the modern world. Its ability to strengthen stainless steel's corrosion resistance, its high temperature performance and strength, enables it to be used in infrastructure and military applications. It also has a high energy density and electrical conductivity, which makes it an essential component in EV batteries and clean energy tech. 84% of global demand right now is based on the stainless steel and nickel-based alloys, with 16% going towards those battery markets. Now, the International Energy Agency has forecasted demand globally to double by 2040, which makes it quite vital to find new resources. However, currently, China dominates the nickel market. They lead in global consumption, they lead in stainless steel production, they lead in the battery production. Indonesia, which produces 50% of the world's nickel, China controls that about 84% through investment. And lastly, China also controls 80% of global processing of nickel sulfides. So what this does is it leaves the supply chain quite vulnerable for the rest of us, especially if you consider that NATO countries right now produce less than 10% of the world's nickel. But have no fear, because that's where Newfoundland comes in, right? I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but Newfoundland plays a strategic role in creating a secure and reliable supply chain for critical minerals and energy in North America. We have the resources, we have the experienced workforce, we've got a supportive government, and we've got the port logistics to get our end products out to market. So that's why companies like ourselves and others find ourselves working here in the province. So our company is looking at a relatively new mineral in terms of economic importance called the wowrite. Now, wowrite is a naturally occurring nickel iron alloy that forms when ultramafic rocks, so think tablelands as a prominent example, are altered with water. Now, its key feature is the fact that it doesn't contain sulfur, and because it doesn't have sulfur, it means there's no smelting. No smelting means that you could ship your concentrates directly to market, and you could bypass that dependence on China for global processing. No smelting also means that it has a lower impact on the environment through reduced emissions and other pollutants. A wowrite itself is a very high-grade nickel mineral containing up to 75% of its crystal structure as nickel, which is more than double that of a traditional nickel mineral pentlandite. A wowrite also happens to be very dense and very magnetic, which means that the processing is quite simple and allows us to actually create grades that have been proven to be up to 60-65%. So if you add in all those factors together, it creates a very high payability for a wowrite versus a traditional nickel sulfide or laterite deposit. So the processing technology that would be used in mining is nothing new. It's something that's been used in the iron ore industry for decades. We crush the rock, we put it through a magnetic separation. Because of its magnetic properties, the wowrite will come out with a few other things, and we can pretty much basically kick out 90% of your material out of the mill very early on in the stage, which is going to reduce your processing costs. You finish it off with a flotation, which will separate the wowrite out from the remainder of the material, and you can take that 60-65% concentrate and ship it directly to stainless steel people, or you can further upgrade it for use in batteries. So for our project, some of the highlights are that we are looking at this high-grade nickel mineral. We're not going to have to worry about smelting. Because it would be a domestic supply, if we want to look at American markets, we would be in full compliance with the Inflation Reduction Act for use in EV batteries. It's cleaner. We've got infrastructure already. As Stephen mentioned, our project is quite near his, which is down by the power generating station. We're in a good jurisdiction, and over the last year, we've made a couple of discoveries along our 30-kilometer belt. This is going to allow us to position ourselves to be a major bulk tonnage nickel producer in Atlantic Canada, and that's going to allow us to address the urgent need for a secure nickel supply while we're attending to the rising demands. So where are we? We're nestled between Grand Falls to our north and St. Albans to our south. We've a newly established base camp that's really proximal to our drilling area, which is going to allow us to eliminate the use or the need for helicopter support, which is extremely expensive. And we've been able to, I'm going to go back here now. And we've been able to, find a few new zones, including what we've been called our RPM zone. So in terms of the geology, we're located on the Pipestone Pond ophiolite complex. It's essentially a slice of oceanic crust. The wowrite occurs as really fine disseminated grains or sometimes as aggregates with magnetite. You really can't see it on a rough surface. If you're prospecting for this kind of thing, you have to cut your rock and look at a fresh sample. We began the project last year sort of, looking at the digital compilation, looking at what was done historically. We compiled, well over 100 reports, digitized all samples into a a database and GIS program. And looking at that, we found over 4,600 samples across the project that had, quite elevated nickel. There's been a few holes drilled in the late 70s at the northern end of the property looking for asbestos. They've been reanalyzed and looked at, found some nickel contents there. In the mid-2000s, our own Altius Minerals teamed up with Cliffs Natural Resources to look at province-wide program, focusing a lot on the Pipestone Pond area. Now that's where I got involved with this. They graciously funded my undergraduate thesis, and so that's how kind of my first foray into awaurite and how I ended up getting tangled up with this again. So we brought on a world-renowned geo, Dr. Ron Britton. He was kind of the pioneer of this whole deposit model. He was former vice president of FPX for the Baptiste project in BC, which is really the first and the sort of pioneering company for awaurite deposits. He now acts as a technical advisor to us. We've since done a lot of infrastructure upgrades, adding in trails, putting in our camp. We've completed a LiDAR survey, which will allow us to help find some hidden outcrops that might otherwise be covered with, till or vegetation. We've done extensive sampling across the property with several hundred rock samples that we've cut and analyzed for awaurite abundance, and we use those for drill targeting. As I mentioned, we were able to find a couple of new zones last year, our super gulp in basically the middle of the project, but our main focus is the RPM zone in the south, which we have since started drilling. So our maiden program last October, November, we put in basically 5 holes, 1,705 meters. One hole we put at the super gulp, the other 4 we put into the RPM zone. Our awaurite grains are consistently greater than 100 microns, or that'd be 0.1 of a millimeter, with commonly observed between 300 and 500 microns. Now, that might not sound very exciting, but if I tell you that you only need 10 microns or greater to recover, suddenly most of the mineralization in our rocks is way bigger than what we required, and we would expect a great recovery. Our core samples, we've been using ACLabs and SGS, mainly because of the need to run Davies tube and testing along with the geochemistry. The Davies tube allows us to separate out a magnetic fraction from the samples that then we can analyze the rock itself for nickel, and also the magnetic fraction, which will contain the awaurite, and that will give us a good idea of the potential recoveries in this system. We've released, started releasing our holes. Focusing on the RPM zone, our hole 2 and hole 3, both came back with very encouraging grades, 1.37% nickel and 1.32% nickel within the magnetic concentrate, and 1.73 and 1.95% chromium. So really good place to start. These numbers are comparable to the FPX project in BC, which has made it to a pre-feasibility stage. There's been some delays on getting our last couple of holes out to market. We switched labs and did some other metallurgical testing, but we're hoping to have those out now in the next couple of weeks. So our phase 2 is going to carry on, which is basically just started this past weekend. It's going to look at expanding on the RPM zone, finding more along section, as well as doing 400-meter step outs to try to quickly build some tonnage. We were able to sneak out one hole a few weeks back before we got shut down by weather. That has since been cut and sent to the lab, and we would expect results from that one probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So basically, it's a quick snapshot. Sort of Q1, we're tying up loose ends from our program last year, carrying out some metallurgical testing, looking at recovery methods and analytical work, and then starting our phase 2 drilling, which I said is now underway. And then later this year, we'll look at probably starting to do some infill drilling in those big step outs. And while we're doing that, we're going to continue to do our ground and pound work to keep prospecting. So I did forget to put my forward-looking statement slide in there, so I'm going to do a little bit of arm waving, but just ignore me. If you wanted to look at what a project like this could potentially look like, should we be able to evolve it to a mine life, This is a comparison of our project, which is the pink on the right, versus two similar projects in Canada. But the one I want to point out is FPX's Baptiste project. As I mentioned, they're kind of the only true analog to ours. They've got 10 billion pounds in nickel on the books and a 29-year mine life. So, if we were able to get to that point where we can get a deposit put together, we could be looking at something quite extensive for Newfoundland. If you find this interesting, I would encourage you to go to our website. You can download our investor presentation, of which I took a lot of these slides out of, and you can go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Just listening to these presentations and thinking about how fortunate we are to live in a place where there's so much opportunity and there's so much potential for the future. It's really exciting. So also in other exciting things, lunch is happening now next door, upstairs in the cafeteria, and then we're back here at 1 o'clock for the next set of presentations. Enjoy.